Screen Actors Guild nominee Tatiana Maslany, star of BBC's hit series Orphan Black. What was your reaction when you heard about your Screen Actors Guild nomination, and how did you find out?
It was total disbelief because that it's a nomination from your peers, and so it's just totally and no, not my peers, like people who I look up to. You know what I mean? So it's a totally different thing than kind of a panel of people who aren't necessarily actors or in the arts, sort of thing. But yeah, it was wild. It's totally wild, and also, like, I think we can take the show into account with it. Like that it's a nomination for our whole show because it's such, as much as, like, my face sort of becomes the face of the show. Like, it's such an ensemble piece, really. Um, so I'm sort of taking it for all of us.
A large ensemble too, if you count all the faces you have on the show, plus
Yeah,
the rest of the cast.
our panels are always like quite small because there's like six people missing.
Um, Now, going back to what you just said, so this being a nomination by your acting peers, by SAG that actually nominates and then does the voting. As you may or may not know, the supporting and lead actors categories are meshed into one. So really, there's only six nominees altogether out of all female performances in drama for the year. So how special is that to you to know that Orphan Black, a BBC series, hasn't been recognized before? It's the first nomination for BBC America
Hmm.
at the Screen Actors Guild, to be that kind of face for it, and then also just because it's by your huge acting peers.
Yeah, no, that's crazy. I didn't realize that it was meshed together. Yeah, I mean, it's insane. It's insane that I'm nominated opposite Maggie Smith. Like, that's crazy. Somebody who has such a legacy and such a body of work that spans the decades. And yeah, it's crazy. And a huge honor, obviously. Yeah, huge.
Now let's get into to Orphan Black. You mentioned before that the process can be kind of slow because of the interaction with when you interact with the clones, because there's so much meticulous detail that goes into it. Now you're well into season 3, or going back into season 3.
Hmm.
Has the process become any easier, or is it still a challenge, like with that dance scene that you had? I remember before you had mentioned pouring a glass of wine took so many shots because of the detail.
Yeah, no, I think we're getting bolder with the way that we use those clone scenes because technically we're getting more comfortable with them, and we've seen how they can work. That we buy them as just normal scenes that are happening. So we've really taken to, like, the clone dance party, like challenging the limits of the format, and we've shot a couple things this season that are pushing it even further, and I'm really excited about. And strangely, it gets easier as you do it, because it is kind of like a muscle. Like, it's learning this sort of this skill, which is the technical aspect of it, and then just trying to be an actor within that technical kind of robot thing, still breathing and still being present and spontaneous. But for me, it always comes back to the support I have from Catherine, who's my clone double, who just, like, every single time shows up with a full performance, and we're always kind of collaborating on the blocking, or collaborating on the moments that we want to kind of explore. And she does it, as much as she hits everything that we're supposed to hit, she also gives me something different every take, so that I can respond to a real live human being in front of me, and not, kind of have to imagine it on a tennis ball or whatever. So the more she and I get to know that kind of relationship, the better, I think, the better the scenes will be, and the more bizarre we can get with them.
I was going to ask about that because there was one scene in particular in season 2 where Sarah is in the bathroom, kind of chained up. She had just been tortured, gotten her ear kind of sliced, and then you hear some rumbling, and Helena kind of walks through.
Yeah.
And I was wondering how difficult it would be to play opposite yourself. Like, do you have just a tennis ball in front, or is it Catherine, your stunt double, that's walking in as Helena, so you're able to have that reaction by Sarah?
That scene, I think, because of the way we were blocked, it was always Catherine with me, which was a godsend because that scene was so emotional and so kind of like it's Helena suddenly physically in the room, and to me, to Sarah at that by that point she's dead, so to have an actual person in the room makes sense, for that moment, and thank God we got to do that. But oftentimes if the camera's doing a certain move, Catherine can't be in there, and so it is just a tennis ball. Or like there was a scene in season 2 that we shot where Sarah's kind of like coming at Rachel with a gun, and the closer I got as Sarah to Rachel, who was also moving forward, there were like these C stands that just popped up in frame with tennis balls on them, but they would like move, so one would pop up here and then one would pop up here and then one here, and it was just like the most distracting, but you have to work with it kind of thing. But somehow, intelligent creatures, the post guys, they made it look good.
Yeah, your post guys are like magicians out there for what they're able to
They're
do.
amazing.
Well, back in 2013 was the last time you joined us. I'm sorry it's taken so long. We should have left you before. But you joined us here, and you had just won the first Critics' Choice Award. And you told us that your life hadn't really changed much personally. It was more acting-wise because you were headlining your own show.
Mm-hmm.
Since then, you've won a Television Critics Association Award and been nominated for a second. You've won a second Critics' Choice Award. You've received a Golden Globe nomination and now a Screen Actors Guild nomination. Plus, you're on like one of the most popular cult shows ever. Has your life now changed, maybe personally?
Yeah, like there's things that have changed, like as far as I guess people knowing my face or recognizing me, or having a connection to me because of the show. But again, it's just for me, it always has come back to the doors it opens as far as work goes, and I get to meet directors now who I wouldn't have met before Orphan Black or before any of these nominations. I get into rooms that I never would have been in before, auditioning for parts that I wouldn't have been seen for. So to me, that's kind of the biggest marked change. But yeah, personally, there's it's still the same dude.
Now, I know you had mentioned that receiving these nominations meant more for the show than it does for you personally, because it brings a whole new audience, people that may have not heard of it yet, to it. Is it great having this critical response and this reception for the show? And do you see the the effects of it yourself?
Yeah. I mean, the critics have been so good to us and really supportive of us and really kind of championed our show from the start, even though it was, a small show and kind of a weird one that could have, if the timing had been wrong and people weren't into this kind of thing at this time, it could have just fallen on its face, just because it is such a risk and such a kind of bizarre out there show. But something about it hit, and the critics have been such huge supporters of us, with the Critics' Choice Awards and everything like that. And then just also writing about us and getting our show out there. I mean, we wouldn't really, if it weren't for them and like Clone Club and like all these people sort of championing us, I think, could just be kind of a small show somewhere. But no, it's been amazing, and I think it gives us a huge platform on which to talk about things that interest us. Myself and the two creators of the show, we always talk about where we see the show going, and the writers' room does the same, and we're excited to always push the boundaries of the show and to change people's perceptions on the characters, and I think the critical response, the positive response, allows us to feel safe in that and free in that and bold in that.
Well, it's all very deserved. It's a great show, and you're kind of on an awards roll here. Now, I do hate to bring this part up because it kind of makes my blood personally boil.
Oh yeah.
But let's talk about these damn Emmy awards.
Oh right.
After season one of Orphan Black, Patton Oswalt, who's a big fan of yours, he said, and I quote, "She should be nominated because she's the greatest, or she's the best actress alive right now." And then you were snubbed, but it was a relatively small show at the time, so it was, it wasn't 500,000 viewers, kind of was your average, if not a little bit more. So it wasn't a huge shock. Then season two came on, and you had the buzz, the critical backing, the Clone Club, trying to get you this Emmy nomination, and it didn't happen, and fans were and critics were just outraged. I mean, there was no excuse anymore. The show premiered at season two at 1.5 million viewers, which
Really?
broke records. It was huge. And so we chatted with the executive vice president of awards department at the Emmys. His name is John Leverance. Right after the nominations came out, and we kind of let him know our feelings on your stuff. And he said that I can assure you that we still have smoldering torches and broken pitchforks on the Academy lawn from the Tatiana situation. Um, so I know that awards are probably not the top thing on your list, but do you ever feel like with the Emmys, like, dang, I'm so close, or do you just not pay attention to any of it at all?
No, like the Emmys, I don't know. No, not really. Like it would be amazing, but it's so funny how intense people get about it. It's so not the thing for me, and it, it's an amazing honor when it happens, but like Amy Poehler wrote about it in her book, this idea of like the pudding, wanting the pudding, and like as soon as the pudding is like offered to you potentially, you start to want it, and it like warps your sense of your work or your worth or your value or like just whatever, and like this idea of, I'm not explaining this well, but like this idea of like suddenly you want the pudding even though you never did before, like it wasn't even part of your world, it wasn't part of your realm. I you know it's what it is, like it doesn't affect me, you know what I mean? It's not part of my thinking really.
Gotcha. So that means that like the
Thanks.
what now?
Thanks for your outrage, though.
You're welcome. So the SAG pudding was a lot sweeter to you then because
Egg pudding
that came
is
out of nowhere.
delicious. It was made by friends. It was made by people who I admire. It was a tasty pudding. It's like a Christmas pudding.
Okay, well, let's get to a few fan questions because the last time that we had you on, and I'm going to apologize to your Clone Club right now because there was a lot of questions sent in, and I don't want them sicking Helena on me or something because I don't get to all of them. So the last time that you were on, we asked you a question from one of your viewers, and they actually asked about having a transgender clone
Yeah, I
on
remember.
there. Yeah, and you hadn't really given it much thought, so these things really do,
Here's
can.
the thing. I had given it thought. I was lying.
Oh, wow, wow.
It was already in the works. We were already thinking about Tony, and we were already kind of throwing the idea around and sort of musing on it. So when that question came up, I remember just being like very red in the face and like just like trying so hard to be cool and like not
Well, it worked. You fooled us.
good. Nice. You guys come up with stuff like often that we're thinking of, or like that, it's funny how on the kind of on the the right track Clone Club is a lot of the time.
Well, they're a very dedicated and smart fan base you got
Yeah,
there.
for sure.
Well, we do have a few questions. So one of them is from a member of our Culture Report. His name's ESPN fan, and he wanted to know when did you find out about the male clones, and did the creators give you a warning ahead of time as to the direction that the season was going to take? And also, are you stoked about the new male clones?
Yeah, I am. Ari Millen, who plays all the male clones, or the caster clones, he's awesome. And when he first came to set, I always tell this story about just seeing him act for the first time. he was so intense and had such an amazing presence on screen. So when Graham came to me, I think it was when we were going to TCAs or something. He came to me and said we were thinking of giving Ari this new role next season, and I was like, it was like a no-brainer to me that he should do that. It's a cool way to explore a sort of other side of the clone thing, which is that the Castor boys were, oh, what can I even talk about? I don't know what I can even say.
Not too much. I don't want to know very much.
No, I won't say too much. But there's certain differences to sort of nature nurture that we explore with them, and they definitely reflect back more mystery and more kind of intrigue into the whole Orphan Black, conspiracy. Like, what is it? Why does it exist? And how big is it now? It's huge and it's expanding. So no, I was super excited about it, and it also gives me a chance to have like some days off sometimes, and like sleep in every now and then. It's great.
A win-win.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, considering we got this question a lot. That Orphan Black was relatively new at the time, just entering its second season. You were a guest star on Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
And so how was it going from after that first season of Orphan into Parks and Rec, which had been in its fifth season by that time? It was a well-oiled machine. Was everybody welcoming? Was it intimidating to go in there? Or
I've never been so scared to walk onto a set in my life, because that was basically all of my heroes in one room. And Amy Poehler has been somebody I've looked up to forever. And Aziz is like a guy that me and my brother quote all the time. Like, it was just kind of totally surreal for me, and I love the show. So to just get to walk onto that set, I was terrified. But as soon as I got there, it was the most welcoming set I've ever walked onto. All of the crew loves it. Like, everybody loves being there. Even though it's season 5, it felt like they were just discovering it for the first time. Everyone's laughing, everyone's best friends. Like, they're just all so passionate about the show and about each other. So it was an amazing experience. I was like so scared the whole time though.
well, aside from Parks and Rec, because they're still on, what would be the one show currently that you would want to maybe have a little stint on? I know it seemed like, at least from the Critics' Choice when I saw you there, that you're a big Orange is the New Black fan.
Yeah.
Would you ever consider going on there or any other show that you would like?
I'd love to. I'd love to do that show. I'd love to do like Broad City. I'm crazy about those girls. I love what else do I love? Olive Kittredge is a cool. I think it's a miniseries though. I don't know that it's continuing, but it's. I'm 2 episodes in, and I think it's amazing. What else do I love? Transparent's awesome. Girls. There's a lot. There's so many shows that I love. So anyway, call me, guys, please. give me some work, please.
Speaking of love, Josh LeBron from the UK, on Bill Derby, wants to know if you're surprised at all by the dedicated worldwide fan base that you and Orphan Black have kind of accumulated. I mean, we even got questions asking if there was going to be a European convention for Orphan Black or something along those lines. I mean, is it shocking to you the cult status that you guys have developed?
It's so shocking to me, and I don't think I really understand the scope of it. But it's surreal to be in another country in Europe or somewhere. Or I was shooting in Vienna in the summer and met so many girls and guys actually from Austria who were big fans of the show, and it was just bizarre to me that they even knew about it. And I've been in London a lot and meet people there who know the show, and it's totally amazing. It's crazy how it translates to, it's kind of a universal story, or that it can touch that many people. It's awesome.
Ali in the Sky wanted to know how do you choose your roles, and do you look for a personal connection to them before going for them?
Yeah, choosing my roles, I feel like for me, it's a combination of like personal connection and also like just curiosity. It doesn't necessarily have to be that it resonates for me in terms of something I've been through or something I understand or something that I know, but that there's a curiosity in it, that it sparks my imagination, that it makes me ask questions, that it sort of beckons me forward, you know. And I love doing parts that I don't think I can do, that I'm scared of, or that challenge me in a new way. Like I did a film recently called Woman in Gold, which is coming out in April 3rd. And I play the young version of Helen Mirren's character in it, who's a young Austrian girl, Jewish girl, during the Holocaust. And the whole film for me, I exclusively speak German in it. And so that was an exciting challenge for me to take on another language and to explore that part of history and that time in Vienna, which was such a kind of incredible time for art and for music and everything. And it was sort of stopped mid flow with this kind of peak. So that to me was an exciting challenge to take on, and definitely a tasty part. But it depends. It varies for me, really.
Well, on that same note, Clone Club Australia wanted to know, you're still in the early days of pre-production, I'm sure, but what have you started on with The Way We Get By, your off-Broadway show coming up?
Yeah, so unfortunately, I'm because we've pushed on Orphan Black, I'm not going to be able to do it anymore. So so it's pretty sad. It was kind of a heartbreak for me, yeah, because we pushed too far and other things had to move, and it just it couldn't work, and so yeah. like blah, yeah, it's not. So hopefully at some point I'll be able to do that again, but it's not going to happen this time, unfortunately.
So now everybody is canceling their New York City vacations, I guess, for that time period.
If they booked them, I'm sorry. Hope they were flexible tickets.
Yeah, right. Buy the insurance.
Yeah.
Here's an Orphan Black question. What would the show related, that is, what would Rachel's dance move been during that clone dance scene, do you think?
I get that question a lot. I don't know. Rachel's dance is like pretty private at this point, but I think it's quite contained. I think she's very aware of what she looks like at all moments, and that she's not necessarily a free-bodied person. You know, I think we kind of got a sense of her sexuality a bit in season 2 with the kind of Paul, Rachel, fun times. So I think she's a very specific kind of, there's an aggression to her and a stillness. She's kind of like a tiger. However a tiger might dance, that's how she would dance.
Tiger dance.
Yeah.
Has there, if you weren't an actress, what would be your other career choice that you would get into? We got this question a lot too.
I was interested in journalism at one point, in high school, and I've always found psychology to be really interesting, and kids and sort of, I don't know, child psychology or something like that. Yeah, I took a bit of psychology in high school or in university, and that was always really interesting to me.
We know that music plays an integral part when you're, getting into your clone verse there for each of them. What about you personally? What are your musical choices that get you into your, out of clone mode and back into Tatiana mode?
There's lots. I love music so much. I've been a huge fan of the Beastie Boys forever. So they're always like a staple for me. I really love a band called Sun Lux. There's a band called Go Dark, which is amazing. Active Child is awesome. Lots of like weird kind of pseudo electronic but folky indie pop not pop kind of stuff. What else do I like? Future Islands is great. I really love Future Islands. Yeah, there's lots of music.
It's a full iPod there.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, I guess kind of on what we had discussed before, Carson Miller is asking what, now that you have some free time, I guess, with the male clones, or at least letting you spare, what do you do just to get, like, on your time off? What do you do when you're not shooting 26-hour days?
Yeah, I sleep. I just sleep, or I just try to sleep. And I see friends. I definitely see friends and like watch movies and just do anything that has nothing to do with work. So laying on the couch and eating chocolate is like a big one.
And this is a great closing question, I think. Could you describe to us season 3 in just a few words?
Oh God. Um, it's sort of the separation of the clone, the Lita clones. It's exploring them kind of estranged from each other, and what relationships have sort of severed for forever, and which ones are strong enough to kind of hold across the distance. Is that vague enough? But kind of interesting, maybe.
That is very vague and very interesting, as you and I both found out. April 18th is when you guys come back, so we'll be able to know for sure if that's true. Well, and you did say you were going to be at the Screen Actors Guild Awards this week, right? Isn't that great? Yeah. Well, again, congratulations on the nomination. Hopefully, we'll talk to you before Emmy time, so we can, kind of get at them a little bit more. And and congrats on the success of the show. I mean, it's incredible, the word of mouth that's come out from the critical response. And thanks for joining us, and we'll have to have you again soon.
Thank you so much. We'll see you at SAG.